meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. Next, we have roll call.
Laura Bendaño.
JJ Peña.
Oscar Salinas present.
Esco Ochoa present.
Joel Garcia, present.
And John is here. Dr. Villa, do declare a quorum.
Thank you. Welcome, members of the audience. This evening, we have Julie Delgado. She's going to say the pledge. Julie is a third grader at Juan Seguin Elementary in Mrs. Fernandez's classroom. She's 8 years old. Her favorite color is red. Her favorite food is barbecue wings and finger ribs. Good choices there. Her hobbies are playing soccer with her brother, baking cakes, and going to her aunt's house to ride the four-wheeler and go to the movies. She's the youngest of a family of 4, including Rosa, her mother, Jose, her older sibling at Juarez Lincoln STEM, and Jacqueline, her sister at J.D. Salinas Middle School. She's been a GT participant for 4 years. She's also participated in UIL and will be participating again this year. Her favorite event is oral reading. Great. Julie has received first place in science fair trophies for the past 2 years. And Julie would like to become a future La Jolla ISD teacher and a future principal, just like her favorite principal, Mrs. Escobedo. Great. Will everyone please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Julie. Great job. I know her mom is here. Would you please stand? I don't know if Mrs. Escobedo is here. Thank you. You represented your campus really well.
Next item, we have approval of minutes. Item number 1, regular called meeting, August 10th, 2016.
Go ahead and so move on that.
Second.
Have a motion made and second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item we have, item number 2, public meeting to discuss 2016-17 budget and 2016 proposed tax rate, August
Awesome.
24, 2016.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion made and second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item, item number 3, recognition. Where am I?
Regular meeting.
Regular call meeting, August 24, 2016.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion made and second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item we have is superintendent's report.
Under the superintendent's report, we have our enrollment, 14,518 elementary students and 14,449 secondary students, for a total of 28,967 students, 61 students less than we had last year as of September the 6th.
Doc, do we have Evie Reina as the only one under the numbers?
No, there's a lot of campuses under the numbers. We're looking at specific teachers to see where there are some teachers that have low enrollments so that we can balance classes.
Okay.
But there's more than one.
And our high schools are okay?
Our high schools, we were discussing that. We have 2321 at Juarez Lincoln, and we're going to be watching that number very closely. And then we have 1918 at La Jolla High School and 1883 at Palmview High School. So we are concerned about Juarez Lincoln because they're full to capacity already.
Okay.
Any other questions on the enrollment report?
No, ma'am.
Next, we have a recognition of UIL State Solo Ensemble's outstanding soloists. So I'm going to ask Ms. Ochoa and Mr. Salinas for you to step forward and help us recognize.
Good evening, President Benavides, Dr. Benavides, members of the school board, and assistant superintendents. I come here before you to present to you two very special individuals who have been recognized by the UIL State Office at the highest level. Of the 100,000 students participating in the regional UIL music contests across the state and the 25,000 musicians who performed and competed at the UIL State Solo Ensemble Contest this past May in Austin, only 2 to 3% of the solo performances earned the distinguished honor of being recognized as an outstanding performer. This achievement is truly a mark of music excellence, and we are very blessed to have two of those outstanding performers here at La Joya ISD. Awards of this nature do not come easily, and they reflect the efforts of many individuals, their parents, their schools, their teachers who are here today, and the support of our school board, our superintendent, and all of our central office administrators. All of you are to be commended for your individual contribution to the success of these fine young men. I encourage you to share this honor with them, but most importantly, I want to remind these two young men that through their own individual talent, dedication, and hard work, this accomplishment has become a reality. In recognition of this honor, UIL has awarded Caleb Lara and Rolando Herrera II a gold-draped medallion, as they're wearing right now, awarded to all state UIL champions in all UIL events. Please help me recognize and congratulate from Palmview High School, Caleb Lara, percussionist, along with his head band director, Mr. Jacob Banda. And his percussion instructor, Mr. Jorge Peña. And Caleb's parents are here. If they can please stand up and be recognized as well. Next, please help me recognize and congratulate from La Joya High School, Rolando Herrera II, clarinetist, and his head band director, Mr. Marco Gandaria, and his clarinet instructor, Mrs. Marisa Hernandez. And if Rolando's parents can wave, they're here, Ms. Herrera and Mr. Herrera.
Let's do a group picture with both the students and the directors. Congratulations, we're proud of you. Thank you, great job. Our next recognition is recognition of the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, the UTRGV Summer Camp. The Science Department will recognize the La Joya ISD students that have participated in the 2015-2016 Railway Safety Summer Camp at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Mr. Alex Carranza, our elementary science coordinator, will lead this recognition.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Benavides, and La Joya ISD community. My name is Alejandro Carranza, and I am the elementary science coordinator here at La Joya ISD. This evening, it is my pleasure to present to you elementary students that participated in the 2016 Railway Safety Summer Camp held at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley under the direction of Dr. Taranao. I will first let Dr. Taranao give you a brief synopsis of this STEM-based summer camp, and after that I will present our elementary participants.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the director of the Center for Railway Safety, the University Transportation Center for Railway Safety. Our center is funded by the U.S. Department of Transportation, And part of the mission of the center is to try and expand transportation into the community by developing summer camps and involving the school districts, the various school districts. We have had this over the past 3 years, this program. We have grown it from 700 students in the first year, 2014, to almost 1,300 students this past summer. La Jolla has been a part of this summer camp every year for the past 3 years, and they have participated in this partnership. One of the main things that the center focuses on is trying to bring STEM into elementary, middle school, and high school, but with big emphasis on elementary. Some of the things that we're trying to develop is trying to give students a pathway to STEM careers at a very early stage and get them excited. One of the things that we found out, just to share some of the results that we're doing, part of it is also research on our part to try and see what is going on with number of students that are interested in STEM. And just to give you an example, when you look at the numbers of elementary, we have the ratio of female to male students is 1-to-1, meaning for every male student, there are a female student in the elementary camps. In the middle school, they start dropping off to 2 to 3. In the high school, they start dropping off 1 to 4. So for every female, there is 4 male. And one of the things we're trying to see is how can we remedy this? How can we work with the schools to try and actually engage more female participants in the STEM careers? Because that is something that a lot of the fields are lacking. Whether it's engineering or science, they're lacking female scientists at a PhD level. So one of the things the center is trying to do is look into that and see how we can engage more students in these programs. The partnership, of course, is not possible without putting faculty and teachers, and we've had excellent teacher participation from La Jolla. They have invested time, effort, faculty, manpower to try and help us out. A lot of the curriculum that we have been developing, it's developed by the teachers in collaboration with faculty at the university, and we're trying to implement it in the classroom throughout the year. We're trying to work on new things and maybe find some keys where we can co-teach some courses and try and get engineering into the schools at an early period. So I am very grateful for the partnership with La Jolla. It has been one of the best partnerships that we've had, consistency, and it shows commitment on the part of the district in trying to put teachers into the classroom. A lot of volunteer teachers came to try and learn the curriculum. We're working on getting some of the robotics curriculum, some of the other kits on campus available to the students. And we're actually currently waiting for the decision to renew this grant for $8 million over the next 5 years. So we'll hear that sometime in September 30th. And if that happens, this means that we look forward into 5 more years of building on the efforts that we have done. So I thank you for having your students a part of this. I thank the school district for partnering with us, and I hope that this relationship will mature further over the next few years. Thanks.
Now, it is my distinct honor to present to you our La Jolla ISD 2016 Railway Safety Summer Camp participants, and they are as follows. From Paredes Elementary, Valerie De Leon. From Garza Elementary, Brenda Townsend. From Benson Elementary, Velma Rosales. From Camarena Elementary, Olivia Jayden Flores. From Camarena Elementary, Jesus Menchaca. From Cavazos Elementary, Paz America Guerrero. From Leo James Leo Elementary, Giancarlo Vela. From Leo James Leo Elementary, Cynthia Calvillo. From Benavides Elementary, Linda Nava. From Benavides Elementary, Scarlett Hinojosa. From Zapata Elementary, Melanie Morin. From Zapata Elementary, Milton Ivan Gomez. From Tabasco Elementary, Paola Fernandez. From Tabasco Elementary, Juan Estrada. From Tabasco Elementary, Julie Antonio. From Diaz Villarreal Elementary, Luis Alberto Estrada. From Chapa Elementary, Mariana Castillo. From Chapa Elementary, Ariana Espinosa. From Chapa Elementary, Heriberto Garza. From JFK Elementary, Alex Ismael Guajardo. From JFK Elementary, Mia Juliet Treviño. From Gonzales Elementary, Marco Antonio Ramirez. And our last elementary student from Perez Elementary, Jason Treviño. Now I will let Mr. Roger Gomez, middle school science coordinator, present to you our middle school participants.
Let's do a quick picture with the elementary, and then we'll do the middle school. Keep smiling, boys and girls, keep smiling. Will the parents of these students please stand and be recognized, and thank you for supporting your children in the area of science. Principals, if you were able to join us, if you're here, please stand. Thank you. Now we'll do the middle school.
Mr. President, Dr. Benavides, members of the school board, my name is Roger Gomez. I'm the middle school science coordinator. It is my distinct honor to present the following students who attended the UTRGV Railway Summer Camp for middle school students. We had over 30 participants attend the summer camp. The following students will be recognized for attending this summer camp. We have from Ann Richards Middle School, Selene Guadalupe Rodriguez. From Ann Richards Middle School, Saul Orlando Ramirez. From Ann Richards Middle School, Sonia Maribel de la Garza. From De Zavala Middle School, Carlos J. Rodriguez. From Irene Garcia Middle School, Lara Chavez. And from De Zavala Middle School, Alexandra C. Ortiz.
On behalf of the Science Department, we'd like to thank our School Board of Trustees, Dr. Benavides, Dr. Science, for your continuous support, which allows us to provide an array of learning opportunities for our students. Thank you.
Will the parents of the middle school students please stand and be recognized? And principals, if you're able to join us, please stand and be recognized. Thank you again, parents. It's important that you emphasize science at a young age, so we appreciate your support. Our next recognition is recognition of principals who had gains of 10 points or more on the state assessments. And as we all know, the state accountability system is getting tougher and tougher. And these principals showed that it can be done with high poverty kids who have lots of challenges. And so we're really proud tonight to recognize the following principals. Donna Martinez from Benavides Elementary, who had an 18-point gain in science. Marisa Garza from Cavazos Elementary, who had a 14-point gain in math and a 26-point gain in writing. Mr. Martin Munoz from Clinton Elementary, who had 11-point gain in math, 12 points in science, and 17 in writing. Mary Sepulveda from Escandón Elementary, who had a 19-point gain in science and a 17-point gain in writing. Ms. Yolanda Salazar Meave, who had a 10-point gain in math and 11-point gain in science. Ms. Maria Jasinski at Leo J. Leo, who had a 12-point gain in science. Ms. Alicia Gutierrez from Mendiola Elementary, who had a 20-point gain in science. Ms. Erica Covarrubia, who had a 12-point gain in math and a 40-point gain in science. Mr. Raul Luna, who had a 10-point gain in science and a 14-point gain in writing. Filling in for Ms. Myra Ramos, we have the supervisor, Nancy Chavez, and Perez Elementary had a 29-point gain in writing. From Tabasco Elementary, Mrs. Mariana Contreras had a 17-point gain in science and 11 points in writing. From Zapata Elementary, Rosa Gonzalez Vela, who had a 12-point gain in science and a 13-point gain in writing. We'll do a picture with the elementary principals who had 10 points or more. Congratulations and thank you and your staffs for a job well done. Oh, she's getting everybody. In the middle schools, we had Mr. Danny Villarreal from Chavez Middle School with a 12-point gain in science. Mr. Rolando Rios from Memorial Middle School with a 16-point gain in social studies. Mr. Michael Ocaña for Ann Richards Middle School, 10-point gain in math and a 13-point gain in science. Mr. Santana Galvan from Garcia Middle School with a 12-point gain in science. Congratulations to these middle schools and their staffs for a job well done. We're proud of you.
Congratulations.
Next, we have under discussion items, item number 1, discussion update on the new La Jolla ISD natatorium project.
Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Benavides, members of the community, we currently have Juan Mojica with Janak Architects and Tommy Canul with Wilson Construction. They'll be providing a brief update on the natatorium project. Also, farther along on the agenda, we have a color selection board for your consideration. At the time, I'll give the floor to Mr. Juan Mojica.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent, my name is Juan Mujica Jr. I'm the project manager on the natatorium project. I'm with Janak Architects. Also here is Tommy Canul, who's a project manager for D. Wilson Construction. The project, as you know, it's got some history, but we're back on track. The contractor has kind of regained control of the site. They've begun, the building pad is constructed again. They've begun actually in the pool area. A lot of that has been dug out. They started some of that foundation as well. There's also on the planetarium, you can actually drive out there right now and you can actually see the shape of the building taking place. I do have a presentation for some colors and you'll see some of those images in a few minutes. Also, they've also started construction of the pools. Some of the lazy river pool, and there are some other small pools for the water park area. They've had foundation support also for the entrance to the water park, and that'll encompass 3 different buildings that have restrooms, dressing areas for boys and girls, and also some space for some kitchen, some food preparation, if you will. And so we're about 12% on D. Wilson's portion of it. As you recall, we were about 12% also with DESCOM prior to this. And so right now, if you would put it all together, I would say you're about maybe 15 to 18% complete on the project. We still have a ways to go. The good thing here, though, I believe, is that D. Wilson and ourselves, we have a history together working in different projects up and down the valley and outside of the valley as well. We don't always agree on everything, but we do understand each other's expectations. And so I think that's going to benefit everybody, especially the school district. So I'll entertain any questions if you guys have any.
The only thing, and this is towards Mr. Garza, I know that in the past I've mentioned to you about going to Martin Valley Ranch and attending some of those meetings that individuals that live around there may have some questions and, you know, have that communication going back and forth so they know exactly what's taking place. Have you been able to give them an update since it's along the same topic?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, I have been to a couple. Lately, there haven't been that many because it's been like an off-season. They usually come back around September, October, the Winter Texans do. We did post some information boards at the golf course, so people who want to go and see what the project is about, we do have some information boards there. But once they come again and they have their monthly meetings, I'll be more than glad to visit them again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cho.
Thank you for the update, and we'll have periodic updates each month. So
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Thank you.
Next item, number 2, purchasing cooperative fees report.
This is just a report that's required because we participate in the cooperative through Region 1. We have to report to you what we pay, and we've paid $105,087. And on page 36, you see the amounts broken down for each of the membership fees where we have participated in a cooperative. and it's just required to be reported to the board annually. Any questions on that? Next, I'm sorry. Next item is going to be the La Jolla Independent School District Annual Performance Report for 2015-2016. And Mr. Frank Rivera, Executive Director for Evaluation and Accountability, is going to lead us or walk us through that report.
Right, President Alanis, board members, Dr. Benavides. So this report is required by law. We have to share results with you. Later during the year, we will also be sharing the academic performance report. That doesn't happen until about January, February. I mentioned that because when I prepared this report, this year has been an interesting year. The state didn't have some of their results ready yet. So I will be presenting what was ready at the time. So page 2, it's just the ratings had come out by that time. So La Jolla ISD did meet the standard this past year, which is a great accomplishment. And we did have one campus out of the 36 that did not. That was Juarez Lincoln High School. All the other campuses, and that's what's in the next few pages, all the other campuses met standard. We are still operating under the 4 indexes. So index 1 is all about student achievement, index 2, student progress, and index 3, closing performance gaps. That's helping students who are struggling. And then the last index is about helping students to get ready for post-secondary readiness. On page 7, I did want to share with you all that the state has a plan to increase the passing standards on the STAR tests over the next few years. Every year, the standards will go up. I just put an example there from high school, but it's the same for elementary and middle school. Every year for the next, until 2022, we will be increasing the number of items that the students need to get correct in order to pass the test. So like the principals who were recognized earlier today, they did that in spite of the fact that this year, in 2016, this past year, the standards did go up. So it was tougher for the kids to pass the test. And it's just going to get harder every year. On page 8, an overall performance, La Jolla ISD, you can see there compared to the standard. We didn't have at the time, I didn't put in here the state scores. Those will be coming out. They might be out by now. In fact, today the state published a whole lot of information. So more information is coming out just about every day. You can see La Jolla ISD met the standard for all the indexes. By subject, in reading, overall, we had a 59%. In math, a 72%. Writing, 63%. Science, 73%. And social studies, 69%. Again, I did not have the data to compare the state or the region at the time.
Mr. Rivera,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
if in the future, because I know you didn't have that information, because I was looking for it too, when I was looking and studying it.
Yeah.
If you could just provide all of us a report, just like you did, so we can have a visual as we scan to see how our district is and compare it with the region and the state, now that we have that information, because we didn't.
Perfect. You're asking me to provide you the state and regional data along with this?
Just so I can have, yes.
Yes. Very good. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Definitely. So on page 9, this is index 1. I think, actually, I went over that already. No, not yet. So this is reading, math, writing, science, and social studies. Page 10, you have index 2. Index 2 is about student progress. So it's telling you that 57% of the kids in La Jolla ISD in reading met their progress goal. And 16% exceeded. They met more progress than what was required. In math, it was 62 that met and 17 who exceeded. Page 11, that one is index 3, where they say this is closing the performance gaps. This is how the state was able to try to close that gap. And we say that there are certain groups in the state who traditionally score lower, typically than other groups. We ended up focusing on the economically disadvantaged students, mainly based on economically disadvantaged students and how they perform. In La Jolla ISD, that's the majority of the students. So you can see 59% in reading passed the test, and 9% scored at the advanced level in reading, and so on for the other subjects. On page 12 is all about getting ready for after high school. And so the very first measure or indicator there, post-secondary readiness on the STAR test. 32% of the kids in La Jolla scored high on the STAR test. That's what that's saying. And then you can see our graduation rates, our dropout rate, the percentage of kids who are receiving advanced diplomas, which La Jolla has always done very well there. And then the college and career-ready graduates. That last piece is new this year. That last piece used to say college-ready, but the state is shifting from only college to now we're also interested in careers. And that's even evolving further. Pretty soon, we're going to be getting credit for kids who are entering the military and getting certificates and such. On the next page, page 13. Now this report here is broken down by student group. So you can see some of the needs. We have had these needs and we're working on them and we are improving. You can see our special ed students in reading and our ELL students. Those are the two groups that traditionally have a harder time passing the tests. Similar results, a similar pattern in math. I do want to point out this year for La Jolla ISD, we actually had a group of white students that counted. And it was only about 30 students district-wide. And so once you get to that number of students, they count, and we had a little bit over 30. So it's a very small group. There are the writing results on page 15. Similar pattern with special ed and ELLs. Science results. And social studies. Those are the subjects that are tested. Also required that we report on tax. I want to tell you that we only had about 50 students, that's 50, who took the test. Almost all of the students under tax have already graduated. Some, they come back and we help them, but it's a very few kids. On page 19, you have the results of the English Language Proficiency Assessment, the TELPAS. This is many students, about 14,000 students in La Jolla ISD who take these tests because they are learning English. So this is how they're doing at getting better at English. Here, we did have state results. So you can see there the blue, that's the state, and the red, that's La Jolla. So you can compare to the state there. And those are the results that were required in this report, if you have any questions. Thank you all.
Thank you, Frank. Dr. Rivera.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next we have public comments. Any public comments?
No.
No public comments at this time. Next, I need a motion for consent agenda.
Motion.
Second. I have a motion made and a second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed?
Abstain.
One abstain. Motion passes. Next item under bids. Medical Field Student Training and Certification Competitive Seal Proposal 2016-80.
I make a motion.
I have a motion made. Need a second? No second, motion dies. No action taken, item number 7.
I make a motion to postpone medical field student training and certification competitive seal proposal.
Second.
I have a motion made and second, any questions?
Abstain.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? One abstain, motion passes. Item number 14, under Business and Finance. Color selection for La Jolla ISD Outdoor Pool and Auditorium Facility.
No, we actually got it going on. It's too complicated to get going.
Thirteen, 14. Okay.
We'd like to move as quickly as we can, so if you can start with the first item that they need to make a decision on.
Okay. Excuse me. Again, my name is Juan Muica with Genac Architects. We're going to have a presentation for you so you can get some color selections. The color board is in front of you. A lot of the materials are pretty heavy, and so we have actual samples of that in the box, but I do have a slide that will show some of those as well. So we're here tonight to go over the colors, the exterior colors for the natatorium and the water park as well. Obviously, there's an aerial site. This rendering was presented to you early on during the design, and I'm sorry, that one there. So that gives you an idea of the size of the facilities that we're going to have. And some of these colors are pretty close to what we want to represent here. And so we're hoping that we get your blessing so that we may provide these color selections to the contractor so they can start ordering these materials and get them on site. This is the second rendering. Also, this is the view of actually the water park as well. You see the natatorium towards the top left, and the three buildings in the front, which is the entrance to the water park. So,
I'm sorry, sir, can you speak a little closer to the mic? I'm having a real hard time hearing you.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So what you see here is there's some aerial shots that were actually given to us by VME Engineering. I think that was drawn. They've taken some pictures, so they were nice enough to share this with us. You see an aerial shots of each of the sites. You see on the left side the pool is to the far end, and on the picture to the right, you see it as well. The pool is to the right. Moving on. This an aerial shot of the planetarium, and like I said earlier, you're starting to see some of that shape of that building there. And then to the right is also an aerial shot of the lazy pool and small kiddie pools. It's part of the water park as well. So this is the color board, and as I mentioned, what you have in front of you doesn't have everything because some of these they're pretty heavy materials. We have them here in the box. If you care to look at them physically, we'll be happy to walk those along for you guys to actually take a look at that. But we do have, there are several buildings. The natatorium is one of them. There's an entry canopy as you walk into the water park. There's some 3 buildings that have, they house restrooms and dressing areas for boys and girls. And then there's a planetarium as well. And so all of these have materials, but we want to tie it all together so it's a big, it's a nice family complex that we have out there. So this is as the entrance, there's an entry canopy and there's 3 buildings. Coincidentally, this is very close to the water park in the PSJ in the far area. And so I brought some of those pictures just to kind of give you some reference as well. This is the elevation of those 3 facilities in the back. And to the picture of the far water park at the entrance. So to the right and to the top, that's the block that we're proposing to use. It's a smooth CMU. It has a light tan color to it. And the contractor actually has built some mock-ups and over at the site, so you can actually see some of this. But the picture to the right and the bottom is actually pointing to the block that we're proposing to use in those dressing areas. Okay. And please ask me or stop me as I'm going. We don't have all of the materials in front of us today because it takes a little bit of time to get some of these, but in the entrance canopy, you have this translucent panel on the top. What it does, it just gives you some shade, but it's not a solid cover. What it does, it allows some light to transmit through, and so it allows you to have some breezes go through as well. So this is similar to what we're proposing to use as well, along with the color of the pipes that you see there, the structure for that canopy.
Mr. Garza, Did our students have any input, or our swimming coaches, with the color schemes at all? Because I'm looking at blue and yellow, so,
No, not at this moment, Ms. Ochoa. It's all from the design team right now.
okay. So,
Is there any way that we could incorporate, I'm assuming red, white, I mean, those are our school colors here, I mean.
Yes, we actually have there's a terracotta split-face CMUs that you're going to have pretty prominently in the planetarium, and we also use it in some of the other areas throughout the other buildings. We can have more if you like, absolutely, that's not a big concern.
I would like our students to have some type of decision-making so they can be empowered and have some type of ownership, since this is going to be their facilities.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
That could take place. I would like,
I agree. I think that we need to take it back to the students and make sure that, like Mr. Alanis is saying, you know, we can't leave out the red, the black, the silver representing our high schools, but then we also have, I believe it's yellow and red dot for one of our, the other new high schools are Wolves and the Timberwolves. They have the blue, so we have the blue there, and I kind of understand the blue because of the pool and the water and all
Sure,
that, and those
sure.
are the attraction, but maybe in the trimmings, or maybe in the edges, or on the
Yes.
paddings, or something like that?
Absolutely. We can certainly introduce all of those colors. We do have some other, in the water park itself, there's a lot of slides that people get on, and those are very colorful as well. We do have blues, we have yellows, we have reds, and green, I believe, also as well. So we have a lot of that color as well. But we can certainly incorporate more of the reds, the grays, and the blacks into the building, absolutely.
Yeah, we don't have no more committee meetings or what?
This is, again, a picture of the FAR natatorium, and what you see there is the color they're proposing. To the right is that the stone veneer that we're proposing to use as well. That actually also on site is the mock, so we can take a look at that if you like. This is an interior shot of the same natatorium and FAR. What we have here simply is just, I'm just showing you the aluminum structure is pretty white, and then the translucent panels, which we don't have samples of yet, but that's, again, to allow some daylight to come in, may not be a solid cover, but it also, what it does, it allows to have sufficient amount of natural light within the facility all the time as well. And again, we're proposing to stick to something similar to this as well. We are limited on that aluminum, so if you guys want to introduce some color here, just keep that in mind. We are limited by the colors that are available to that material as well.
How soon do we need to make a decision so we won't delay the project?
I think on some of these, we can certainly wait a little bit, but on the masonry and the veneer, that one's pretty critical, because there's about a 6 or 7 month lead time for them to order and then to get on site. And as you can see, as you saw from the picture at the planetarium, they're pretty ready to start putting the veneer on the outside. So those are a little more critical. But it's just a veneer, we call it CMU veneer.
Stuff that you need to act now,
The block.
like 6-7 months before you can get it.
Well, for the masonry, yeah. Are we okay with that? And then we can look at the accent colors, and perhaps we can set up a committee meeting, because it's kind of difficult to decide like what we're talking about. But the masonry, so that you can get on it, like that smooth face that you showed us, that block. Go back to it,
Oh, the color board? Yeah.
back.
I think it's where the different.
This is one of the ones
Yeah,
you were talking about that you have to?
the one prior.
Did I pass it? There. Okay. So.
Mock-up walls.
That's correct, yes. So on the planetarium, on the bottom right, those are the colors that we actually need to kind of release those to the contractor. And we're proposing, Cynthia, you want to show them those actual colors? We have some actual samples of those blocks that we're proposing to use. Excuse me. So you have a terracotta, and then you have a sand tan color, and then you also have a kind of a brownish color. And those are fairly neutral, but what that does, it allows us to add accent colors throughout the building. It's certainly the colors that you're referencing to, like red and gray and that sort of thing. And those were too heavy to be on the board, that's why we had to have them that way. So.
All three?
But I can show you on towards the latter part of this, I do have a picture of the planetarium.
No, good, we're good.
And that's really probably the most critical
The stone.
I mean, is that correct, the planetarium? Yeah. So this is an elevation of the planetarium, and this is what we're proposing. It's actually comprised of three different elements. And here and to the left, you actually get a ground picture of it. So you have an entrance, and then you have two masses to the right and to the left. The one to the right is the classroom. The one to the left is areas that are more support areas. And then in the back is the actual planetarium, where it has a higher volume. And so we're proposing to have that kind of brownish color in the entry and in the back of the planetarium, and then have the tan to the right, and then the terracotta to the left. So it's going to comprise of those three. So, and these colors don't do it justice, but it's something that would look similar to this. And so in the entry, you also would have a plaster canopy, a stucco canopy, which would replicate that reddish color that you guys like, that you guys use. So that's our intent, and that's what we're going for. So that's our recommendation. There are some sunscreens on the right-hand side. If you see those windows, right now they look like just lines, but there's sunscreens, so they're made out of metal, and those have a reddish color as well. And so we're trying to use as much of that red as possible.
Okay, well then approve. Okay, that's like.
So again, those are our recommendations, and you guys tell us which way we should go, and we can certainly do that.
To go with the masonry and then.
Well, the ones that you said that take 6 months, if it's the masonry, then we need to decide that. Was it just this colors for the?
It was those three colors,
for
yes,
the
ma'am. That and
planetarium?
the stone for,
And the stone?
yeah, the stone goes on this building as well. We have that stone in the auditorium as well, but they have to order along. And this is, the stone veneer is called a rusted ashlar, and these are some
And is it a
samples.
combination of these two, or is it one or the other?
It's the same color, but it's a blend.
Oh, okay.
So it's why it's called a rusted ashlar. But I say a stone veneer, and you see, if you look at your screen, this is a parts of them put together as a mock on the side. No, that's a picture to the right-hand side, so.
Excuse me, does that kind of material, does it get black or anything? Because I've seen it stained, like it gets stained black later on, with the water and all that.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
The question is that is it going to stain after a while with water and,
Most stone, as long as once you install it, you got to clean it, and then you have to put a sealer on it, and that goes a long way in doing that. There is some stone that has something called effervescence, and but it depends a lot on the ground. But no, we shouldn't have that issue here, no.
so those are the only things that you needed?
Right now, yes,
Right now,
ma'am.
we're okay.
Those are the critical items, yes. If you can give us a blessing on the stone veneer, the rusted ashlar, and then the 3 blocks, then that would help us tremendously.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make a motion for approval with those 3 combination colors that'll be for the planetarium and the 2 combinations that have for the locker room. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
That's my motion reads.
I'll second.
Motion made second. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 15, acceptance of garden donation for Evangelina Garza Elementary by Gilberto Eric Reina Jr., Eagle Scout.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion made second. Any questions? To go on.
I would like to recognize Mr. Gilbert Eric Reina Jr. I know he's here, and he's an Eagle Scout, and he wants to donate something to Garza Elementary. So welcome, Mr. Garza. Mr. Reina, I'm sorry.
So what I plan to do for the Evangelina Garza Elementary is get some flower gardens and a vegetable garden in there. So that way the students that are there, they have this feeling that they get to grow something that actually comes from the earth. And as you can see in this picture right here, a little bit shiny. Then the front right here, it's very bare. There's little to no actual plantation that's actually there. And there's some over here as well. This is the middle courtyard of the school there. There's dead spots that are drying out here, and I'm gonna plant some vegetable garden boxes in there that are approximately 12 feet by 6 and then 6 by 6 feet. They're going to be there. And after that, let's see, we have some more views from the outside. That's the front. We plan on doing more different types of flowers as well. and possibly over here as well. The whole project, I estimated to be about 1,200 in total. Currently, we have almost everything, which includes the pipes. I think we have screws, we have most of the building supplies. I got $50 donations from Home Depot, $100 donations from HEB. The only thing that I need left is to purchase the actual wood from Home Depot. I got a quote from them. They're willing to mark off 100 from $760. They also gave me that $50 coupon. So the approximation without that is about $600 left. Everything else we already got. I went to, or my mom went to the Teachers Donate, and they gave us a whole bunch of supplies that donated as well. So I also estimate about maybe $200 as upkeep to continue it. And I plan on continuing growing it for its first full production and then handing it out to the students there that don't have enough food and that may need this food. So I plan on doing that as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for beautifying one of our schools.
You're welcome.
Again, thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item number 16, for Next Generation Learning Superintendent's Council Conference for Dr. Aldo T. Benavides, Superintendent of Schools, to attend in Palm Springs, California on October 18th through 21st, 2016.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion made second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Under letter E, Human Resources, item number 1, Head Counselors and Lead Counselor Supplemental Stipends.
So moved. So moved. Second.
I have a motion made second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay?
Nay.
1 nay. Motion passes. Number 2, Compensation Plan for 2016-2017 school year.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3, La Jolla ISD Organizational Chart.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
I have a motion made second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. We'll now deliberate into executive session under Texas Government Code 551-071, 072, and 074 at 7:05 p.m. Everybody here? We're out of executive session at 7:30 p.m. First business, we had a postponement on item number 7 under bids, so we're going to bring it back. Item number 7 under bids, medical field student training and certification competitive seal proposal, that's 2016-80.
So moved. I'll second.
I have a motion made second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
All those opposed?
Nay.
You have 1 abstain and 2 nays. So motion passes.
Okay, Mr. President, under letter H, items 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for approval as discussed in executive session.
Second. I'm sorry.
I have a motion made second. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. This meeting is now adjourned at 7:32 p.m. Thank you.